Welcome to Extraterrestrial Reality. Today I want to talk about the supreme being, God, and extraterrestrials. Well, today I was in my car. I was driving. I was on my way to visit my son, and I'm just looking around at other people driving around and just the trees, the clouds, the sky, and everything. And it's just, to me, this whole life is just a fantastic miracle. No matter if you believe in God or you don't, right? No matter what, right? This whole thing is just very strange, very weird, exciting, mysterious, awesome. It's just, we don't really have any answers. This the biggest mystery, right? The biggest mystery is why, right? And there's a lot of religions out there. A lot of people are concerned that that when, in fact, I'm one of them, and I think I might be wrong. I'm right in a way. I've talked about this before. There's going to be some fundamentalist type religions out there once disclosure happens, whether it's a forced disclosure because of some event involving an extraterrestrial crash or landing or something, right? Or they finally, the people in the government that have been hiding this for all these decades, finally just decide, okay, it's time to tell the people the truth, right? Now, some of us out there, some of the people like me, of course, know that the truth and that there is an extraterrestrial presence here. There's most certainly beings here that are not human, that are intelligent. I encountered one of them. I saw one of their spacecraft, or one of their flying saucers, rather, and as did many other people, as we all know. All right, so some of us know, some of us have seen these things and encountered them. And people out there are concerned that, and one of them was the late Stanton Friedman. He's in his writings, he talked about that there's going to be some fundamentalist religious organizations out there that are going to have a big problem with once the disclosure happens. And he's right. That there will be, but I think for the most part, most religions of the world are not going to have a problem with this. I've been, for instance, I talked about this recently. The Catholic Church had come out stating that, if it turns out that there's an extraterrestrial presence on this planet, that they're real, they are, by the way, spoiler, they are real. Then they just have to adapt and accept that fact that and say, hey, God didn't just create us; He created these other beings too, right? And other religions, Judaism, they believe in an all-powerful, one powerful God, just like, and so does Islam. Actually, Islam, I don't think should be a problem at all for them because, according to the Quran, it states that that these beings, that the Almighty God had created, most likely created life similar to humans on other worlds. So I don't think that should be a problem there either. I'm not sure how that will go over with fundamentalist Muslims. I don't know, but we'll see. Now, some religions don't believe in an all-powerful God, like, for instance, Buddhism. They're about living a good life, just like like any other religion, right? However, they're trying to reach a stage of enlightenment where, before they die, and then they'll move on to some other life form. They'll be reborn somehow. Like all religions have their own little differences, and some of them, a lot of them, believe in one all-powerful being, supreme being. So I don't think it's going to be a problem. I mean, some religions may have to make some slight modifications to their beliefs, to their teachings, and that's probably about it. But I don't see why it should be a problem. Why should that be a problem? It shouldn't be a problem. Again, it will be a problem for some, like since fundamentalist evangelical groups, some of them, not all of them, some of them will have an issue with it, but they shouldn't really. I mean. But they will, and they'll make a big stink about it, and they'll claim that some of these evangelical leaders will be claiming that they're demons from hell and everything like that. But that's probably about it. I don't think there will be that much difference. I mean, why should there be? I mean, if people believe in a supreme being, why is it hard to believe then that a supreme being created us? Well, then a supreme being also created other beings, because obviously, if there's a supreme being out there and a supreme being exists, then obviously he created everything. He created these beings too, right? If that's what you believe, then that's how it should be. Now, of course, there are some people out there that don't believe in God at all. Like, of course, like atheists. They don't believe in anything. They believe that just all this just happened. But so that shouldn't be a problem for them whatsoever. They don't believe in any sort of as far as I'm concerned, who knows? I mean, we don't know what lies beyond, or what, if there's an after. I mean, if we're being truthful, right now, people who have of real strong, extreme faith, they believe in these things wholeheartedly, 100%, right? And there's some me. I don't know what. If I'm being truthful, I don't know what happens when we die. I don't know if there's an afterlife. I hope there is. I want there to be. I'm just being truthful. I don't know. I don't know what there is. I mean, because for one thing, it's hard for me to, there's just a lot of different religions, a lot of different beliefs. I believe that there's something, right? I do think that I'm not sure what it is. I don't know what it is. I don't know how to explain it. Like, everyone has their own little belief system. I have my belief system too. This whole thing is a miracle to me. I don't know how it happened, right? But it's fantastic and it's wonderful. And I really hope that this thing just doesn't come to a crashing conclusion and there's nothing, right? Like, I don't remember anything before I was born, right? None of us do. Now, some people say they were reincarnated, so I'm not going to get into that right now. But for the most part, most people don't remember anything before they were born. I don't know. I hate the idea of just being, dead and nothing, right? But I don't want that to be. I guess if that's what it is, then there's nothing I could do about it, and nothing anybody could do about it. But I just can't see that. I don't want to think that. I have faith that there's going to be something. I want there to be something. So I do believe there's going to. I was raised a Catholic, and I believe that there's, I hope to God that there's something. I want there to be something. I want a continuance of something, right? I mean, nobody likes the idea of dying and just end all of this coming to a crashing conclusion and in blackness, nothing. That's where religion comes in handy. That's why the belief in something comes in handy, right? But they're all different. That's the issue that I have, is that which one's right? I mean, for instance, there's a 500 million practicing Buddhists in the world, right? I mean, are they right? I mean, that we move on to a state of enlightenment and then we become something else when I guess I'm getting off track here. I guess it doesn't matter. The whole thing is nobody really knows what happens when we're done. We all hope that there's something, and hopefully there is, right? Like, for instance, even if you're an atheist, I think if you're an atheist, you would hope that this thing continues. Who just wants to have it completely done? I don't see why anybody would want that, but maybe some people do. But like if you look at some people say they have had near-death experiences, but the problem that I have with near-death experiences, people say they have these different visions or whatever. Some people say they were in heaven, and some people say they were in hell, and then but the whole thing is, it was near death. It wasn't death. Right? It's near death. There's a difference. That stuff could have been going on in their brains, right? Because they're about to die almost, right? They almost died, so who knows what was going on in their brains? What kind of, it could have been hallucinations, right? I mean, we just don't know. And again, they didn't actually die. When you die, I'm talking about being dead. I'm talking about buried and rotting in the ground, or your ashes sitting in an urn, or your ashes spread out over the ocean, or on a field somewhere, whatever. Right, that kind of dead, right? Then, the answers to whatever this afterlife holds will be known by that point, one way or the other, right? And hopefully, a lot of us, I believe, want there to be something, want a continuance of this, want to see our loved ones who have gone before us, we want to see them again, things like that, right? But we really don't know. We don't know what, again, like my buddy's grandmother used to say, nobody came back to really tell us what lies beyond. But the thing is, I guess I'm getting off track here a little bit. The point of this discuss, what I'm trying to get out here, is that I don't think there should be a problem with having a belief in God and aliens. But it seems like that seems to be a concern among some people, some ufologists. Like I said, the late Stan Friedman had a concern about that. And I had a concern about that because of things that other people have, like he stated. And that I think our governments probably were, the United States government, at least at one point, it probably still does, has a concern on how this is going to affect the religion. And I don't think it should affect it. I mean, the whole idea is if you believe in a supreme being and that he created all of this, then what's the problem with him that he created not just us and life on this planet, not just our lives, but all these other animals and plants and everything else, right? Fish, all this stuff, birds, right? And human beings on this planet. What's the problem with him creating life on other worlds? If you believe in a supreme being, that should be no problem. I mean, he's a supreme being. He created this whole universe, right? And I don't think it should be. I don't think it will be. I don't think it's going to be as big of a problem as a lot of people believe it will be, including me. Again, I do believe, like I've stated before, there will be a problem with some fundamentalist religious groups, right? Some fundamentalist religious leaders. They'll claim things like, "Oh, it's demons from hell," it's it's all satanic and nonsense like that. And that's going to be that. But there will be just the minority of religious groups. I think most religions should have no problem with it because there shouldn't be a problem with it because it's real. I mean, if there's let's look at it from a perspective of a supreme being, regardless of what you are, if you're an atheist or whatever religion you believe in, right? If you're Buddhist, right? Okay, and you don't believe in a supreme being, but let's for a minute, let's all pretend, if you don't believe in that stuff, let's just for a minute pretend that there is a supreme being and he created all of this stuff. It should be no problem. If once the extraterrestrial reality is disclosed to the world public in mass, it should be no problem. I mean, actually, it should be. If you're a religious leader, you should be. Religious leaders, once that happens, actually should be. Being more. They should be more. This should be more proof to them, more proof to that they should use this as something good, as a sign, as something to show how really magnificent God is, right? It should be something that's held up as it's even more magnificent than we even thought of before. That's how it should be. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think a lot of religions are going to put this up, talk about this, publicize it even more, talk about it more, make it a bigger thing, like actually talk about it joyously and say, yes, this is fantastic. Look at, we've been all praying to God and following our religions for all these centuries, right? And look at, we just found out that he's even more magnificent than we ever thought. Even before, now we find out that there's life from other worlds, intelligent life, right? Now, some people will say, some religions will try to say things like, well, in the Bible, it's in the Holy Bible, the Old Testament, which Judaism and Christianity follow, right? They'll say, well, it says in there that God only made, he made mankind in his image. Well, religious leaders could say, well, guess what? These beings, apparently, they're humanoid in shape. They're in the same kind of mold, right? They're not, of course, they're different looking than we are, but in the same kind of shape, right? They have the same humanoid structure. Even the praying mantis ones, they're standing up on legs, apparently, according to witnesses, and they have 2 arms, and then you have the reptilian style beings. I mean, but they're in that same mold. Maybe that's what the Bible meant. Again, there might be some modifications required in some of these religions, but I mean, it shouldn't be a problem. It should be actually viewed as a good thing. It should be a good thing for people who are religious and believe in God, right? This should be a great thing. The idea that, my God, heavens the mercy, look at what else he did. Look what else God created. In addition to our wonderful existence and our lives and everything on this planet, he actually created living, intelligent beings on other planets. That's how it should be. That's how it should be presented. That's the way it should be presented. So regardless, and again, I know there's people out there who are atheists and don't believe in any of this stuff, and that's fine. You could. That's the whole. In this world, right? There was a time, and in some countries it's still the case where people are forced to follow certain religions or else. In this country, in the United States, and a lot of other countries, that you're allowed to follow whatever religion you want to follow, or no religion, whatever you want to. But regardless, right? It should the idea that this is going to be a big problem for religions across the world, really, I don't think it's going to be, and it shouldn't be, because religious leaders really could promote this as something good and something big and something miraculous, in addition to all the other miracles that God is responsible for.